We talked about the different attributes in the system and how we have 3 different types of attributes that we collect. We talked about how those attributes are built-in, system, and custom. And together on this call, we went ahead and just added the designations, how have you been in this profession, an internal notes section. We can change these names, we can change the selection set options, but I just went ahead and captured those ideas as we were talking about them. And then, of course, the built-in are what we're looking at here. If you decided that you wanted to collect maybe prefixes, middle names, or suffixes, you could edit the settings for the name, and you could turn these on and add a selection set, a list of selection set options for your members to choose from. So that's kind of all about the attributes. We also briefly talked about profile owner attribute security and attribute security. And so those don't necessarily need to be completed now because we'll want to have your member types in place first. But when we get there, you will dive into profile owner and kind of determine, okay, what should my members see in their profiles? What can they edit and what can they not see at all? And we talked about how that internal notes section would be an example of a hidden attribute, totally hidden from your member altogether. And then attribute security is what those member types can protect profiles or the other individual's profiles.
So that's always going to be off or hidden.
Perfect. So in that case, we can just leave them just as they are. Will you ever have a public-facing directory?
No. No, we can't, unfortunately, we can't make that determination because we're the umbrella.
Yeah,
and
got it.
And we could have the directors public, but that would just be like 25 people or something like that. So that's we could make, searchable, but that would be it because we not public figures, but we're all elected, I guess I should say. So therefore, those would be searchable.
Awesome. That makes perfect sense. Okay, cool. And so we'll just leave that as it is. So the next thing that I think I want to talk to you about is going to be, I'm going to go to your database and we're going to go into member type. And this is where at some point we're going to want to collect some or start setting up type of categories that we're putting your individuals into. And I know we've talked about a couple of different types of categories we could create. To talk more about this member type, so the next call that we have, my goal would be to have, or we could even do it today, my goal would be to have at least some type categories set up. And I know we talked about this last time. I know we talked about it on our kickoff call, but some categories set up so that you want to manually input. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, just the directors, the board, the people that are running the association. But that would be it. So I can give you that list today.
Oh, that would be awesome.
With, the board, CAAPA board, or something like that.
Do they ever pay dues?
Yes, as their association would. So we'd have to designate one account to be the paying account, I guess.
Okay. And so, so let's go ahead and try to set one up together because it might help you see like what it's going to look like over time and then helpful. So basically when we're adding a member type, we're going to either add an individual member type or an organization type. Now, and I know I've talked about the difference between the two, but just to reiterate, an individual member type means that I would be your member, and I would be individual. I'd have my own profile, nobody linked, nobody else, just me, and I would be the one receiving my invoice to pay my dues. Organizational guys need. That's where the
Yeah.
organization has the profile and it has linked individuals. So we would want to create a profile.
Yeah, I agree. And then we'll have some individuals though, because we have our executive committee who have dual roles. Would be an individual member because they would be an actual member of CAAPA. So it'd be, and those, there's 5 of those, or maybe 6 or 7, but yeah.
So they would be individual.
Yeah, small group of individuals.
Would you want to try to grow those individuals, or do you want to?
No.
Or they always just be a couple?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So what I want to do is let's go ahead and set up the individual, and we're going to go ahead and set up the organizational so we can look at the differences, and we'll learn all about the profile structure and how profiles are organized today. I think that's going to be a really good topic for us to cover. I'm right now just adding your payment processor demo in place so that we will have that in the system. I'm going to go ahead and create. And I don't think I've gotten from you, but at some point I'll need a list of or chart of accounts. Do you guys have you use, don't you?
We do, yeah.
So if you could get a chart of accounts, I'm going to put this in my follow-up email to you today from QuickBooks. I'll need that from you at some point so that we can have those added to the system.
And when you say chart of accounts, what does that mean exactly? Like, what are you looking for?
Yeah, good question. So a lot of times in your QuickBooks, you have different pots where your money goes into. Sometimes that would be a member dues pot, like a pot for event registrations, a pot for donations. So it's like dividing out your money.
Oh, so you'd like the all of the groups that our income and expenses are categorized into? Exactly.
Accounts, because you'll never be paying anything out of MemberClicks. You'll only ever be receiving money in MemberClicks.
Okay, only income subgroups. Okay.
And I'm putting this in my little only income in my little follow-up email too.
Okay. I could probably get that to you today too.
Yeah.
I have access to all that stuff, so.
Okay.
And there aren't many, so. And you just want it in like an Excel spreadsheet?
Yeah, that would be perfect. And if you just if you can somehow just like copy and paste them out of QuickBooks, that would be best, because they have to be called the exact same thing that they're called in QuickBooks. Just in case you ever want to export a transaction report from MemberClicks, you can export transaction and actually import that into QuickBooks to reconcile your accounts. Nothing ever happens automatically, but they do have the ability to talk to one another. And so that's where we have to have those revenue accounts named the exact same thing, because when the QuickBooks is going to look for those revenue accounts to stick the money into, and if it doesn't see them, aka if it's named something different, or if there's a capital letter to another account, because it's like, oh, this doesn't exist, but it needs to go somewhere, I'm going to force it into this newly created account. And that's a real pain in the butt.
Yeah, we've read that before.
And before we get into the transaction part, I'll always make sure that we do a backup before you guys do it, and then we'll do some tests to make sure that they're going to the right places, that the right pathways are created. And then if something doesn't go to the right place, we'll have the backup, so then we can just put the backup back in the system and then start over, basically. But anyways,
okay.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. So you'll send that to me. I'm going to go ahead and go back to database and back to member types. So the first thing we're going to do is create our individual member type. So I'm going to select add an individual member type.
I would say I call it like CAAPA board something, because it's not going to be anybody other than that.
Now,
because we're going to classify those CCP folks as a CCP person. even though those will be individuals, but they're not going to. I mean,
okay. So this board that you're talking about, this is not the one that needs to be organizational.
No.
The one that needs to be individual. So I'll say like board member individual.
Okay. Yeah.
And then basically what I'm deciding here is either they can have standard pricing or attribute-based pricing, meaning that, so example would be everybody in this member type pays $200, which is what you said the case is.
No, this would be no money. This would be just they would have it because they're on the board. Pricing, I think, right, where they pay the dues.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah, we can do that. So in this case, it would be standard pricing, so it will have no money. Everybody has no money. Attribute-based pricing, for example, I've had a lot of oil companies use this. Oil, like how much gross revenue they make in oil a year, and then they times that.
I see. Yeah, we used to function like that, but we switched a couple years ago to just a standard flat fee.
Perfect. Awesome. So we'll just stick with the standard pricing. And
but that's cool to know if we need to ever go back to that way where we base it on the number of members each association has. We would assign them like it was $2 per like student and like $3 per voting member they had to pay for. So we got paid 3 times a year based on their demographics.
Awesome. And you know what else? We can also, so like if a company has linked profiles, you can make it so that they get 2 linked profiles for $200. Let's just say $200, they get 2 linked profiles. And if for some reason a company is like, I really want a 3rd linked profile, or I really want 5 linked profiles. Okay, fine, but every additional linked profile over 2 will cost you another $75.
Right.
So that's something else that we can set up in the cool. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And basically what we'll want in here, remind me again, are your members anniversary or are they all fiscal?
They are fiscal, January to December, I guess, a year.
Yep, perfect. That makes sense. So I need to edit the default settings really quickly, and I'm just called invoice template. You don't know what that is quite yet, but we'll talk about that later. You're using MULA as a payment processor. Your revenue account, I'm just going to remember dues. We'll update that once I receive your revenue account. I'm saying that you're on a date-based expiration period. That date begins January 1st.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's about, you have like was it a 30-day grace period or 3 months?
Oh, I'd have to bylaws, but that wouldn't be for these individual members. They would never have a grace period because they're elected in November. So, and then they take office in January.
Got it. Okay. And they don't ever pay anything on that.
No, right.
So then I'm just going to save that. Now you'll also notice that we have these default notifications. So when we had our kickoff call, we would have talked about how when your members or when your associations or individual members need to pay their dues, we have automated notifications go out to them, reminding them that it's getting time for them to pay. So these notifications are what we're going to set up. I'm going to here and we'll say, okay, we want their first renewal notification to go to them maybe 3 months before their expiration date. So that would be December, November, October, September. That'd be like the 1st of October. They would receive their first renewal notification. It's almost time for your dues renewal. Make sure you pay. All you have to do is click the link below and apply your payment. And that will allow them to pay their open invoice online. It's super, super duper easy. And then automatically once they pay that, the invoice will reflect as paid and their expiration date will automatically update 1 year from past date or however far from that past date, 5 years or 1 year. What we talked about is 5 years. Is that right?
Well, that's for the people taking the test, but the associations are yearly. So we'll have one group is going to be yearly and one group will be every 5 years. And then one group we'll have nothing. They'll always be there for until eternity.
That's perfect because since that's the case, what that means is that we just will never turn on these notifications for that board, that will never have to pay anything. So they'll never receive that they owe money, which means that they'll be a lifetime member. They'll never have to pay anything.
Right.
So anyways, so you'll set up these notifications. So what I might do today from our follow-up as well is send you the notifications doc to have you start looking at that verbiage and maybe start seeing if you can fill it out since you see how this is going to work. Any questions on these notifications?
No, but can I set up a different type, a non-monetary notification to certain people or groups, or only for paying money?
What are you thinking? Instead of paying money, what would you use it for?
So for this particular group subset that we're starting with, which is the board member individual, I would want monthly notifications because they are supposed to provide reports every 20th of the month. So it would be nice to send a notification saying, like 5 days before the 20th, that says, don't forget to send your memo to me by the 20th every month, because people don't ever follow through on stuff like that. So I don't know if that's a possibility, but that would be very cool. That would save me some time on harassing people.
Definitely. So that's a good thought. Would it be bad if there was a zero?
Oh, does it always attach some sort of an invoice?
Yeah. So like you can send out emails through the contact center, and you will have the opportunity to schedule those.
Okay, so I could set up something over there, and I could say, like, every 15th of the month, send this out to these people.
Not quite. It sets it up. I'm sorry. That would be really cool, but not quite. You would be able to say, like, on the 1st of the month, you could go ahead and get the letter together and schedule it to go out on the 15th. And then you could save it as a template. And
then just use it every month.
Yeah, but you would still have to schedule it so you're only able to schedule the one letter from the contact center one date. So you would always
I could do it all at one time, right? Could I schedule it in advance to send it like later in the year, or is it only in that month?
Yeah, you know what? I think that you could schedule like all 12 notifications to go out. You could have different templated emails, each scheduled. So technically, I think it would be easier. Honestly, I think it would be easier if you saved the template and scheduled it each month.
Okay, than doing it all up front.
Yeah, and then the reason I'm saying that, let me say, so like let's say I scheduled this and I said test. So I'm in the corner around a bit, but I'm going to pretend sending this to you. I've got this test email. I'm going to schedule to send it at a later date, and let's say I want to go out on the 15th of November at 7:45 in the morning. And I'm going to schedule this message. And it's going to say, are you sure? And I'm going to say, yes, schedule. And then I think what we can actually do, stay in the con, go, okay, cool. So now this one message is scheduled to go out. So this would be the first message to go out 10/16. Then I could schedule another one by going back. And I could say test 2 with my message test 2. And I could also schedule to send this to you. And I'm going to send it at a later date. And then this time I'm going to have it go out December 15th at 7:45 in the morning. Okay, cool. So you could do this all. So what I was doing when I was writing tests is just building the subject and the body. And so if I start reporting in messages, yeah, I have one scheduled to go. And if we looked at it, this one's scheduled to go out 11:15. and it'll show you how many it's going to. And then I can go to my other scheduled message, test 2, same thing. This one's scheduled to go out 12/15. So yeah, you could set all of these up at the beginning of the year, and they're just going to go out every month for you. So this would be perfect.
Yeah, that would be cool. Okay, sorry to fast forward, but that works as well. So we can go. Sorry, but okay, cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, because that would be the only type of notification, if you will, that would be needed to these particular individuals. Otherwise, there's no notification needed.
Awesome. So cool. So we learned that we can do that in the contact center, and so that'll be a huge asset to you guys. But we still might want some default notifications to go out to remind those 1-year guides that pay and the 5-year guides that pay, right?
Yeah, but that guys will be an organizational member.
Okay.
I believe because it'll fall on one of the 12 associations that makes up our association, because those are the folks that pay the dues every year.
And contact, we're going to have to put an email address in. So I talked about how there's like the association profile, and then there are linked individuals to the association profile. Mm-hmm. Whatever email address is in the main association profile, that is
the notification.
Correct. Is that
fine? Yeah. No, that's fine. We can. Well, we always send it to. Well, I mean, usually we just manually do it, but we can have it go to the number 1, because it's either like, for example, like San Diego SDPA, San Diego Paralegal Association. So their email is SDPA1 and SDPA2. So we can have it go to the 1 for everybody, and then because there will always be a 1, but there might not always be a 2.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we can do that. Cool. So then I'm going to say another thing that I'm going to say we're going to try to do after our call, from this call today, is just have you fill out that notifications document. Mm-hmm. And you will determine to you, I'm going to attach it to our, is that it? That's not it. I'm going to attach it to my file too. Here we go. Oh, here it is. So it'll look like, where is it popping up at? Really? I think, what's this? Let's click this one. This should work. Perfect. Okay. Well, I really want to show this to you. Hold on 1 second. Notification. I think my computer's mad at me. I'm going to send it to you. What happens is I end up getting too many things open on all my desktops. And then it's like, nope, we aren't. Oh, no, this isn't it either. It's like, nope, I'm not going to allow you to pull anything else up. Basically, take a look at it and see if you have options. It does a really good job at explaining what you're doing. So like, you're going to set up renewal notifications, grace period notifications, and then lapse notifications. We can send up to 4 in each of those statuses, but if you only want to use 1, obviously you only have to set 1 up. And you can we have verbiage, and you'll just put in like the name of your association, and like if you want to put in member benefits, or I don't know if that would.
So I'll just tailor it to our needs.
Exactly, yeah. And then and then you can tell me, okay, I want the first renewal to go out 3 months before their expiration date, when to go out 2 months before, when to go out 1 month before, when to go out 15 days before. And the grace period.
If somebody pays in month 2, will they get month 3 notification, or will they stop getting notifications?
They'll stop getting the notifications.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, so that'll be perfect. So I'm going to set up this individual member type, and this is going to be your board. Individual. We said it's standard pricing because they're not paying member type isn't paying anything. I'll assign, so now what I need to do is assign the custom attributes, meaning that we would want designations, the internal notes, how long have you been in this profession. We would want those to show up in their profile. If some of your, like maybe the organization profiles need additional attributes, we can specify which custom attributes we want to show up in which member type profiles. So we can customize that.
Okay.
And then this landing page means that when they log in, they're going to be taken to the member landing page, which is just going to like greet them with a personalized name tag, and you can put specific information on their landings that they might need access to that non-members wouldn't see.
Okay.
Do you see how that could be maybe beneficial?
Yeah.
Okay. Using the default invoice template, we'll talk about this later. Moolah, revenue account, member dues. Expiration date is date-based. They don't pay any money. They're $0 price. And that's all we need to do, guys, save. Then we would create an organizational member type to hold those associations. So this time I'm going to add an organization. What we call this?
They would be a member association, or you can call them association if you don't want to call them member. I mean, to shorten it, I guess I would say association.
And right. So what I'm doing here is we call this association member type will house the association profiles, but then there's a sub-member type underneath that called the association member. So that would be the individual who's actually linked to the association. Does that make sense?
Right. Yes.
Now for organizations, we can do one of two different types of pricing. We've kind of already got it. One would be number of linked profiles. So we can charge based on the number of linked profiles that they have. So that's where I mentioned they can have an additional $75 for every additional linked member that they might want to
have. Okay, to 2, and if they want more than that, I would say that we would charge them $25 per link. Well, if they want to add their association president, then they would have to pay for that. And I don't want to charge more than $25. I think that's fair.
Perfect sense. So I'm doing the same thing here. I've created it. I assigned custom attributes to the association profile. I've also assigned the linked individual profile. And now what I'm going to do is set the member landing page once again. So once logged in, they'll be taken to this page. It'll have just some like member resources on it. And then at the bottom, do you want these guys to have a grace period?
Yeah, they will have one, yes. And I can't remember how long it is yet. But you, for now, just do 30. Yeah. Okay.
I can do that. And then what I'll do is they can have up to 2 linked profiles, and they're paying $200, correct?
Correct.
Cool. And then price per additional file would be $25.
Yeah.
Now, just to let you know, we do have the setup proration. So if you wanted your members who joined in November to just roll over to the next, like if somebody joins in November, you don't want to pull $200 in November and then also get renewals January 1st saying they need to pay another $200, right? That usually.
Well, yeah, basically what would have to pay until January if they're signing up in November.
Perfect. So when would that rollover date start for you guys?
Probably anytime after, if it's between January and June, then they would pay, and then if it's between July and December, right? So after half of the year has passed, so maybe start in August.
Well, so we could also do a midway. So if you wanted come July, they could pay $100 for July to December, and then
no, they have to, per our bylaws, it'd have to be the 200. So, but I'll have to look at our bylaws to see what it says, because usually if people join in the beginning or anytime during the year, they pay for that year, because then if you don't pay, you don't get a vote. So you're not really a member
Okay, I see. Okay.
Yeah, but we likely won't be adding any new members at that level. We have 12, and there's only 2 others out there, and they both like rescinded their memberships a couple years ago. So if we do need back on, we would probably make an exception for them anyways, and then they would be able to observe but not vote until the following calendar year.
I see. Okay, that makes perfect sense. Okay, so we've set that up, and then at this time, I'm just going to save this. So now you've got your association with the association sub-members. This is the organizational member type, and then we've got the board with the individual. Is there one more that we need to add?
Yeah, so this would be the CP individual. It's an individual, and yeah, it would be a CCP individual. There would never be a year, and this would be 5 years. Every 5 years, you would pay the renewal fee.
I think what I can do what I would need to do here,
because this one they'll likely be 3 different months in which they become a member, quote unquote, and so then from those 3 months they would have 5 years. And I'm not sure right now. The first one will be February, so we could at least it from February because that's when our first test is.
Yeah, what might be best is to make this one a period of time, because if we make fiscal, then what that means is that it'll always go back to January. But we can make this one anniversary for a period of time. So
perfect.
Yeah, so they can join at any of those 3 times throughout the year. So I'm going to call this CCP individual. And then I'm going to save this. And then at the bottom here, I can say membership period is defined as 5 years. Do you want them to have a grace period?
They will have a grace period, and it'll probably be 30 days, I guess, for now, until we decide. I need to figure out what it's going to be. But
and how much will they pay in dues?
Yeah, I'm not sure yet. I don't have those in front of. I want to say it's $50.
Okay, and we can always change any of that. We can change any of this at all. Awesome. So I'm going to delete, we had a member type member in here that I'm going to delete just as an example. Now we have your 3 member types. Now, so that you can start adding people in, maybe one other thing that you could do after this training today is start adding some people in manually.
Yeah, that would be great.
Cool. So the way that you would do that is whenever you're in the system, you're going to see this big profile list button up here in the top right hand. You're just going to click on it. And then you've got 2 options, right? Add an individual, add an organization. If you're adding an individual, it would be either that CPP, CCP, CPP, or the board individual, right?
Can I add more admins, or is it only up to 4 admins?
You can add as many admins as you want as well.
Okay, perfect.
And then if you want to add an organization, you'll just select add an organization. The first thing that you're going to do is fill out, since we have a little bit of time, I kind of want to go
set one up.
Yeah, do you have that information in front of you?
Yes.
I give you the ability to share your screen. Like, can you get logged in and you can go through the process?
Yeah. Let's see here. Okay, hold on, let me do that. And okay, hold on. Okay. Let me get to the internet. Okay, I see my screen now.
Not yet.
Okay.
It should have come, you should have gotten a little, there we go. Now I can see it. Perfect.
So, where do I go to get to there?
Go to, and I'll just tell you, go to your browser and open up a new tab, and you'll just type in CAAPA.memberclick.net and then /admin. It should just be ADMIN. Should be fine.
Okay. I'm assuming it's my email is my username.
It is. It sure is. And then your password should be CAAPA in all caps.
Nope.
Okay, let me just reset this. Bear with me for 1 second. Oh, I'm sorry. Your username is SLUTZ. But I wasn't going to read it out
loud. It's my mail. Oh no, that didn't work either.
Okay, hold on 1 second. I'm gonna CAAPA. There we go. All right, try SLUT, and then your pad is now try CAAPA all caps.
I think it's working now. My husband's name is Scott, so he got that a lot too. And his last job, his email was SLUTZ at his employer. And now he's like that up. I was like, I know, it's so stupid. So yeah, it's a running joke that he's Sluts number 1 and I'm Sluts number 2.
That is funny. Cool. So you'll go to that profile list. And then go ahead and try to add an individual. And I'm just going to let you kind of navigate through it. And if I see you doing something crazy, I'll stop you.
Okay. It's still thinking about it.
Feeling a little slow. There we go.
Okay. So I'll add an individual. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Let's see here. Okay. Let's try it again. So I have to get a username for them. That's fine. I'll do.
So I always put in their email, but you can put in whatever username you want. But I usually just use their email because that's easiest for them to recognize.
Okay.
So now at this time, you want to make sure you fill out the rest of their info, but like specifically, you'll want to put in their expiration date if they're going to be a paying individual.
So this would not be a paying individual.
Okay, so then you don't have to put an expiration date in.
Okay. So then I would just leave it like this, and then she could come in and add her own stuff.
Yeah, she could definitely do that. So that's all you have to do really for that. And if you want to add an individual, if you want to practice that, just select. Actually, hold tight before you do that. Let me point out a couple things to you. So the way that our profile is up here in the top left-hand corner, these are all those built-in attributes. So that's the organization, physical address, email address, phone number, first and last name. They'll be able to add their photo in their own profile, which will reflect on the back end as well. So the right-hand side are all those system attributes, right? So expiration date, last renewal date, join date, member type, member number, member status. You also can see in gray down here when their profile and then the last time updates were made to their profile. And then at the bottom, of course, we have a summary of the built-in and then.
Okay.
Perfect. And then you just save. Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead and click on that contact preferences tab, and I'll go through these tabs really quickly. Contact preferences is just going to show you what they have said in their profile as their contact preferences. Also, I'm going to get an email from you on a certain event, and they're going to hit unsubscribe at the bottom of the email, thinking that they are unsubscribing from emails about that particular event, not realizing that they're unsubscribing from all of your emails.
Okay.
When they do that, they're going to call you, and they're going to say, I haven't received an email from you in so long. What's going on? I still remember. What the heck? And you're going to go to their profile, probably look in this area and see if they're unsubscribed. If so, you'll just explain to them, hey, you've unsubscribed yourself. I went ahead and resubscribed yourself. You will get emails from us again. Even if they have unsubscribed, though, they're still going to receive renewal notifications to pay their dues if they are a dues payer. And they are also still going to receive form confirmations. So if somebody registered for an event and they're unsubscribed from your emails, they're still going to receive a confirmation that they registered for that event.
Okay, perfect. That's good.
The message history tab will show you any messages you've ever sent to this individual. I think that this is really cool. E-listing committees are really social community items. We don't need to go over that right this second, but it'll hold if they're a part of a special email list or if they're a part of a special committee.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I'll have to assign all that too, because I have all that info as well.
Perfect. So we can talk about that more maybe on our next call. Submissions will hold any form submission that they've ever submitted to you guys. And then invoices will house any invoices ever created for this individual, including renewals, voided invoices, paid invoices, open, whatever the status of the invoice may be. Now, for individuals, all of their own invoices that maybe they'll ever receive will be in their own profile. But for the organization, renewal invoices will only be in the association profile, not the linked individuals, because it's technically the association who's paying, right? Okay.
Correct.
Any questions on this particular profile or that process?
Real quick?
Yep, go ahead and do it. Yeah.
So it's association. So I'll go ahead and do this one since we're okay. Okay, and then would I edit under the email, or how do I link? Yeah, would I edit the email, I guess?
Yeah, so email address, keep in mind this is the one where the invoice would go.
Like they only have one, right? So it's a good one to do.
Okay.
None, yeah. Well, we won't fill these out because this would apply to the association, really.
It would apply to the individual, exactly.
Yeah. So then we could save that, and then their due.
So this is the special part. So notice how up in the top left-hand corner, right under where it says organization logo. To create linked profiles, see the tab that says linked profiles? It's the left tab. If you click on that, there are two options here. One says add linked profiles, and one says create linked profiles. The difference, add linked profiles means that maybe they were linked to somebody else, or maybe they're a prospect. So you already have the profile in the system, you just want to link. Create linked profile is exactly what you're doing. You're just creating it from scratch. It doesn't exist anywhere in the system. You're kind of just having to build it out new. And you're doing it exactly right.
Okay. Cool.
And then one last thing here. If they are a key contact,
Which
you
they
would
are.
Perfect. And so that would just mean that they would have the ability in there to also see the organization's profile or the association's profile and update the info in the organization's profile. They would also have the ability to link or unlink other people.
Can I link one more to this as well? And would I have to
Yep.
create it or okay?
Yep.
So this would be my VP policy because she's from Fresno, but she's an executive committee member. Or am I duplicating efforts because I've already set her up?
Does she already have a profile in the system?
Well, we created her under VP policy right before this one. So would I link her?
Wait, is she more than one member type?
Yeah, she would fall under this organization, but she's also an individual.
And when you say individual, you mean the individual board that doesn't pay dues?
Right.
Okay, cool. So this is a really good point. Do you have just a couple more minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. So in this case, I'm going to explain something to you, and if it totally confuses the heck out of you the first time I explain it, it's okay because it's me a little bit. So we have our different member types in our system, and we've talked about the different member types determine membership period and based on how much they're going to pay in dues, right? So we have a 5-year member type, we have a 1 year. Every time we create a member type on the back end, the system creates a mirror image of that member type, but it's called a group. The group determines permissions in the system. So when we create content like articles, when we create forms, basically everything in the system has permissions attached to it. And the permissions aren't being designated by the member type. They're being designated by the group. If your member types and groups are the same thing, meaning if all your member types have one group and that's all there ever is and you don't need any special permissions for any special people, then basically the word group and member type can be interchangeable. In your case, what I'm thinking is we're going to need to create a special group, and that group is going to allow those board members to have special permissions. So the way that I would like to have this set up is you really only want each member to be in one member type at any given time. The reason why is because if they're in 2 member types, that means they've got 2 profiles, 2 sets of logins, 2 profiles to keep up with. It's confusing.
Okay.
So to kind of combat that, we would want them to be in the paying member type group because they belong to somebody who's paying, but we could give them an additional permission by adding them to an additional group. So what I just kind of said in a roundabout way is while your members can only be in one member type at any given time, they can be in multiple groups at any given time.
Okay, so we would go back to her profile and give her permission to edit this organization group info or something like that? Is that what you're saying?
We would actually need to change her member type to the submenu type of the association. So she would need to be an association member. And then go ahead and go into her profile. You can search her profile using the search bar in the top right-hand corner. And if you just start typing in, yeah, perfect. And then click on her profile. So what I would recommend doing is changing her member type. It's in that right-hand box, the second from, yeah. You're going to change her member type to the submenu of the association, which is association member. And then you're going to save.
Okay.
Now what you need to do is go back and search for that association that she belongs to.
Here.
Perfect. Yep, you click it. necessarily do that today.
Yeah, we don't have to. But that's a good, yeah, because I knew that was going to come up at some point, but I hadn't, because we have, so part of those, the president's the only one that's not associated with an association. Otherwise, everybody else is their first or second director. And if you're an executive committee member, not only are you the second representative, but you are the EC member, right? So if you're my vice president, you're also part of your local association. That counts as the two. So while I have as she sits as vice president, she's also FPA too. So that's how that works.
I mean, and so we can just kind of give them additional permissions. If they're not ever paying anything for being that board, search by the group attribute to find those individuals, but they don't necessarily need to have their own member type. They just need to have an additional group for additional permissions is what I'm hearing. So we can talk more about, we'll pick up on that on our next call, and we'll talk more about that. And in the meantime, go ahead and fill out the notifications doc that I'm sending to you. Send me that chart of accounts, those revenue accounts, if you can get your hands on them. And then go ahead and just be building out those individual and organizational profiles, just like we did on our call today.
And then I think we have another call scheduled for tomorrow.
I think we do. Let me.
I have that on my calendar. Let's see here.
3 o'clock.
Yeah, so noon for me, but I have an inspection tomorrow, so I'll be leaving early. Is there any way I could do this between 2 p.m. my time?
I have calls from 9:30 in the morning until 7 tomorrow night, and I don't have any breaks, so I won't be able to do it any earlier. Do you need me to reschedule?
Yeah, can we reschedule? I'm so sorry. Just that I had to schedule an inspection for tomorrow, so I'm going to be here really early and leaving early.
You are totally fine. It looks like I could do 12 o'clock on Thursday, 10/18. Could that work for you?
Yes.
12 o'clock Eastern time, so that would be 9?
But I could do like 10:30 or my time, so like at after 9 your time.
I have a call right after that. I could do 3 my time, which would be
noon my time.
Yeah, could that work?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So it'll be 12 o'clock Pacific time, 3 o'clock Eastern time on 10/19, which is this Thursday.
Perfect. And then just send me the credentials, and then I'll send that out to my team and see if anybody else wants to hop on the call.
Perfect. That sounds awesome. Let me know if you have any questions, and that'll give you a little bit of time as well between now and the next time we talk to kind of be playing around in the system a little bit, so that way if you have any questions, we can talk about them in the beginning of that call.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks so much for your